And good afternoon and welcome, everybody. I'm glad you have joined us for our virtual conference and the introduction to the Office of Economic Opportunity. And we're going to be talking about not only our microloan program, but other programs as well we offer. And in addition to what else we do here in the entire Office of Capital Access, which is our big keeper of our office and our other loan program. So we'll be going over all of that. We're starting off pretty much right on time at 12:45, and I know a couple people will be coming in from other conference rooms, virtual conference rooms. So we're virtually doing this. So we're going to continue to move forward. As a heads up, in the lower right corner, you can send me a text or a message. Generally, any questions you have, I'll take at the end of the presentation. But feel free to grab down at the lower right-hand corner and send a message to host and or presenter so that nothing gets missed, because we do have somebody that is helping us out there behind the scenes, making the magic happen. So I want to make sure I get to all of your questions. So if you can send that to both host and presenter, that'll be great. And again, that's the lower right-hand corner, and text away. We will not be doing any open phone lines on this particular presentation. I know some of you worked with me in the past, and I opened the lines, but today it's strictly text. So let's get things going. Welcome, everybody. Today's agenda, we're going to be talking about the Office of Economic Opportunity and our programs, the microloan program in specific, as well as some of our other programs such as Community Advantage and our Prime Grant. We'll talk about some of the program highlights, some of the resources we have available to you, and for those of you interested in becoming a microlender, mission lending with the SBA, talk a little bit about the application process. Now, before I jump too deeply into the Office of Economic Opportunity, our office is kind of the first step of access to capital, and we are housed within what is commonly also called CA, or Capital Access, within SBA. And within that program, they kind of house our big siblings, the 7A program, which our Community Advantage program is a hybrid of, and the 7A program is our hybrid as our flagship program that not only does Community Advantage and international trade loans underneath that 7A moniker, but it is one of our larger programs, and it's used to acquire assets, provide working capital, and more importantly, also doing finance changing of ownership and debt consolidation within businesses as organizations. So we can create an ownership change through our 7A program. It's a very dynamic program, and it's pretty much hailed as our flagship program. Also in the Office of Capital Access is our 504 program, and that is done through certified development companies. It's another economic development program that works primarily with real estate, and it too can be used as a debt consolidator or refinancing. So as you go up through the steps of access to capital, we kind of think our office, the Office of Economic Opportunity, would be the first steps you take before going into our big sibling program, 7A and 504. So if you want to know kind of how we're going to go in this direction, we like you to think you're always stepping up and can work your way all the way through the SBA. Because again, our 7A program will do loans all the way up to $5 million. But coming all the way back down that ladder to the Office of Economic Opportunity, we're going to be talking about our Community Advantage loan, which is that hybrid 7A loan, and it does loan guarantees up to $250,000. It's with nonprofit mission lenders. We have an ILP program, but we'll be closing and phasing that down here over the next few years, so I'm going to just pass over that. If you're already an ILP lender, thank you very much for everything you do, and we look forward to working with you over the years. And then, of course, our microloan program, very exciting. This is kind of our day one start your business lending. It's loans that are up to $50,000 to a consumer. We have some mission microlenders that do loans as small as $500 that are all nonprofit. And they wear two hats. Not only do they get to make loans to micro borrowers, but depending upon the health of their portfolio, they'll also receive a technical assistant grant from this office as well. So again, the Office of Economic Opportunity, we're rather busy. We wear multiple hats. Not only do we get money out on the street in the form of loans, but also in the form of grants. And speaking of grants, we also have a grant opportunity we've been doing over the past few years called Prime Grant. And this is primarily to assist mission lenders in technical assistance or capacity building of their peers, or research and development in the aspect of technical assistance, entrepreneurial education. In the past, we've done online virtual webinars like this, and expanded that technology to make it more interactive, interesting, engaging, and archived those programs. We've also specialized in education for reentry population for people that have returned from incarceration back into the workforce and want to start a business. So the Prime Grant is versatile and has been a great tool for both our microlenders and our community advantage lenders and other mission lenders out there in the United States and its territories. So the microloan program, drilling down a little bit, was created to assist women, low-income minority, veteran entrepreneurs in obtaining really small business capital. So again, like I mentioned, some of our micro borrowers get money from our micro lenders as small as $500. In addition to getting the capital, they also get education, and we call that technical assistance. People that start businesses, they might be the best transmission rebuilder in the United States, but if they don't know how to do a 941 tax contribution, they will be the best transmission builder with an IRS lien on their head, and we don't want that to happen. So we don't want to just hand debt to people without educating them on what to do with this debt, how to operate a business, and we have some impressive stats that show success where a lot of businesses have commonly been known to fail within the first 24 months, a very large portion of it. Our programs tend to enjoy a much higher level of success. You know, we consider that secret sauce to be the technical assistance to go with this capital lending. Our microloans all are made for-profit businesses. Even though the money is lent from nonprofit lenders, we primarily only do microloans for profit businesses. We do have one exception for nonprofit child care businesses. So let's talk about how the microloan program works. So the SBA lends money to an intermediary. That intermediary is a nonprofit lender. That money goes into a pool of money for them. Say we give them $1 million. Then that intermediary lender makes loans to micro businesses. They can be day one opening up or a small business that is wanting to expand its operation. So that they can take that $1 million and lend it out no greater than $50,000 per borrower. And again, we have some that do as small as $500. In turn, those micro borrowers receive education and that capital, and they pay back the microlender. The microlender, in turn, pays back the SBA. And depending upon the health and success of their portfolio, the SBA hands out a grant to the microlender to, again, reimburse for the cost of the technical assistance in the training and or make their program more robust to the benefit of the micro borrower. So we've got micro borrowers, micro lender, and the SBA all working together to promote business ownership and expansion on a small dollar capital level. So again, let's drill down on what the micro-intermediary lender does. They get loans from the SBA, anywhere from $750,000 if their first loan with the Small Business Administration, all the way up to $2.5 million, but they can never have more than $5 million outstanding with the SBA in regards to micro-lending loans, to their loan pool that they're going to put out on the street. So $5 million to max will give any mission lender to do micro-lending at any one time. That can be done with 5 $1 million loans or 2 $2.5 million loans. Depends upon their experience and how long they've been with the SBA micro-lending program. The note that we provide the lender is 10 years. It's based on the T-bill, and depending upon the average size of the microloans they give to their borrowers, we provide a discount to the 5-year T-bill. So it could be 2% or 1.25%. So if a microlender is averaging under $10,000 in lending, which many of them do, right now, if you take 2% away from the 5-year T-bill, we're actually giving money at 0% to lenders to put out on the street to promote entrepreneurial ownership. The collateral required is a few bank accounts, a micro revolving bank account, a loan loss bank account, and the microloan notes, the notes that are made to the borrowers. And sometimes they'll have an operational account that they use. So we'll be able to encumber all 3 or 4 of those items, and that's the collateral in order to get microloans, an SBA microloan account. Now, in addition to those bank accounts, the loan loss reserve account needs to be funded with matching funds, which is equal to 15% of the amount of money borrowed. So if we gave you $100,000, the mission lender would need to match $15,000 in the loan loss reserve account, and that is again held in reserve in case the loans do not perform. And again, the use of this loan proceed from us is to make microloans of $50,000 or less, and the term has to be 6 years or less to a micro borrower. But I'll drill into that here on our next slide. I've already had a great question somebody asked. Can you get copies of the slides? Absolutely. We'll have slide copies of this deck made available. I'll have my contact information at the end, and we will get you a copy of these exciting slides. So how the microloan works itself from the micro lender to the micro borrower. Again, I know I've beaten it to death. They can't make a loan greater than $50,000 with our micro money. But again, they can go as low as 500. I haven't seen anybody do lower than that, but we do have some that regularly do that amount. It can't be greater than 6 years. It can certainly be less than that. In the example of my $500 example, I've seen them do a 9-month loan, $500 to get a tablet that helped them design their business plan and then in turn create a business plan. They paid off that microloan, came back, got another one, and opened up their business. So the microloan can be a multi-step, multi-loan program as long as they do not have any more than $50,000 out at one time. And the use of funds can be used to get supplies, furniture, fixtures, material, equipment, or even working capital to get things going. Like in my example, they would buy a tablet and pay back the lender. The cost of funds are very reasonable. Again, they're tied to the loan size. So if it's greater than $10,000, then the cost of funds would be 7.75%. And if it's less than $10,000, it would be 8.5%. So in the example of a microlender who averages less than $10,000 in microlending, they're borrowing our money at 0%, and thus the interest rate would be at 8.5% to the micro borrower. A very good rate to get a business started with, sometimes with little to no capital. The collateral requirement that the intermediary wishes to take is at their discretion. The SBA does not get involved in what they have to take as collateral. And the same holds true if you're an underwriter for a nonprofit. You will be making those decisions. We have some basic SBA guidelines and some laws we have to follow, but otherwise the underwriting decisions themselves need to be a prudent banking decision. But if they're in line with what you normally do as your mission lending, then we're not going to second guess or be involved in that in regards to your policies and procedures. We will review them when you first sign up to make sure that they meet our basic lending requirements, et cetera, as outlawed in the CFR, or outlined in the CFR. Otherwise, again, underwriting decisions are done by your organization through committee or whoever has the lending authority to do microlending. Now, it's not just all about the money. It's about education. So technical assistance, we sometimes call it our secret sauce of success. The basic concept is we want that education money to be there during the time of when you sign the note and you're in debt, during you building your business. So 75% of the training is done after you get your technical assistant or your pre-technical assistance, sign the note. The majority of your assistance is from the time you get your first microloan onward. 25% can be used for outreach and pre-education before you become indebted on that micro borrower note. And again, our grants have a matching requirement of 25%. So if it's a loan, it's 15%, and if it is a grant, it has a 25% match. So if you're a mission lender, there's a distinction there. Keep an eye on that, and we'll be happy to go over the difference and help you out on that. But there are two matching requirements within our program. And thank you, Nathaniel. We've had a couple questions already. You can see Nathaniel Bishop is there, and again, encouraging you to ask questions. I want to encourage you to ask questions. Please feel free to reach out and text that lower right corner, and we'll be glad to help you if I can do so during the presentation or at the very end. So a couple program highlights about the microloan program. We have about 150 intermediaries all over the United States. As of the end of 2016, we had over $500 million out historically in microloans. We have closed over 64,000, almost 65,000 loans. And because the fact that we do a 10-year note to the lender and a 6-year note, max 6-year note to borrowers, they've actually able to turn that money over and over again and have lent out over $797 million to micro businesses. And we've averaged about $12,000 is the average size of a microloan in our program. And ultimately, this has created 94,000 businesses, over 94,000, and retained over 138,000 jobs and or businesses across the United States. If we look at some of the comparisons here, in 2016, we closed about 4,500 micro loans to borrowers, not to lenders, but to borrowers, and that was about just over $61 million in micro loans to borrowers. And if you look over the past 5 years, you can see we've averaged about $53 million. So last year was a really good banner year for us to get that out. If you look down a little bit further, you'll see that about 40% of our monies went to startup day one businesses. We also have an extensive minority penetration into the Hispanic and African American community, as well as to women-owned businesses. We've highlighted these here. There's some of our larger numbers. And you can see, again, 2016 was pretty much a banner year. If you look at our 5-year average, in most cases, we were a little bit above our 5-year average. Jobs created and retained, again, were up. Retained was a big jump. We were over 11,000 for the year 2016. The same time, our average loan size was up a little bit at 13,000, with the average interest rate only being 7.51. And again, not everybody's taking that full 6 years on the micro loan to the borrower. It was actually only 40 months. So let's see, I see a couple questions coming in. Yes, we will get you those slides. Again, at the end, you'll see my contact information. Feel free to send me an email, and I will send you off the slides. Where do we get the listing of the 150 microlenders you're referring to? That's a great question. There's a couple ways to do that. You can go to the SBA page, sba.gov, type in microloan, and at the bottom of our page is a old-fashioned hyperlink to a PDF that will bring up all the microlenders across the United States, or you can take advantage of our LINC program, L-I-N-C, answer the questions in there. There's about 18 or so questions, and we will match you up. Our LINC program is kind of like a Match.com type program. It'll match you up with the appropriate lender. If you go through LINC and you answer all the questions, we will get you access to anything from a micro lender to, again, one of our 7A partners. So that program can handle anything from a micro loan of $500 to a flagship 7A program of $5 million. So again, SBA.gov, take a look at either our LINC Lender Match program. It's called has been called LINC over the years. We're now changing the name to Lender Match. So you can look for either one, fill out those questions, and find a partner that way. Or again, go to the SBA page, search microlending, go to our splash page, and at the bottom, get a little PDF printout, and just go down by state and find a micro lender near you. Can you explain what matching funds requirement for a lender one more time? Absolutely. So very often in many government programs, a mission lender needs to have a match. That can be in cash or in kind. So if you're in the grant business, you'll know what in-kind match means. But primarily what it means is if I give you a $100,000 loan from the SBA to a micro lender, the micro lender needs to put up a little collateral. And they do that collateral in the form of loan matching funds. And a loan matching fund in this particular case is 15%. So if I gave you a $100,000 loan to go make microloans, you would need to come up with $15,000 in match. So I hope I explained that. Now, if I turn around and give you a grant at the same time, after you have performed your micro lending, we do grants to our micro lenders that are equal to 15 to 25% of their outstanding debt to the SBA. So in the example of my $100,000 loan, you could be eligible for a $15,000 to $25,000 grant depending upon the health of your micro lending. Obviously, that percentage gets much larger in the case of our more mature micro mission lenders that are, say, have $2, $3, $4, $5 million out on the street. They generally are going to get 15% of $5 million. That's much larger. So the system kind of rewards people who get more money out on the street. So the grant matching requirement is 25%. So if you got a grant from us for $100,000, you would need to have $25,000 in match. So that's how the matching requirement works. So I appreciate the question so far. I'm going to move on a little bit and let some more questions come in. So we'll go to our next slide. And here are some of the resources. I wish I'd have gone to this slide just when you asked, but here we go. Again, SBA.gov content microloan program, and that's where you'll find your micro lenders. And right down there is the list of intermediary lenders. So again, that hyperlink when I send you these slides, or you can, again, go to SBA.gov and search, or if you're a really fast typist, you can take that hyperlink right there, push on it, and we'll take you right to the PDF. And for those of you that want to do something very exciting this weekend, I can't recommend enough hitting the hyperlink and taking a look at our SOP 5200A. There is nothing better than weekend reading. If you're not lucky enough to be going to the inauguration, you can sit home this weekend and read our SOP. Another point of contact is Daniel Upham, our Chief of Microlending, and his contact information is right there, as well as his phone number. So those are some valuable resources to you. I see, can microloans be used to refinance debt? That is a great question, and yes, it can, but you need to be very, very careful on that. That debt is only business debt, so that needs to be documented with most likely invoices and receipts, and we need to see that if you were buying a transmission hanging device, that it was highlighted within that credit card bill, because very often small entrepreneurs commingle their personal credit card with business debt early on. So you will need to be able to distinguish between those two and make sure you're only refinancing business debt, not personal debt. Let's see here. Nathaniel's talking about some of the things in the exhibit hall that you can take a look at, including our SBA resources and tools, and that's just another great way to find us. Let's see. Then I have another question that we have somebody that wants to become a microlender. Well, we've got some slides coming for you. This is going to be very exciting. And who do you need to contact? You can contact me, or you can contact Daniel, but the slides coming are going to make becoming a microlender pretty easy, so we'll get you squared away. Somebody asked, what does it entail when a lender provides technical assistance? That's a great story to be told, and I'll do it now. Technical assistance. Well, you know, very rarely, there's not too many colleges out there that are going to teach Entrepreneurial 101, or how to sell a hot dog, or how to build a transmission company, because most of those are geared towards large industry. So our microlenders will do everything from teaching English to an immigrant population, to how to do 941 contributions, to basically how to do window displays. Last summer we had some topical classes come in to food trucks that specialized in, say, ice cream or cupcakes, things that kids might consume from a food truck, and they integrated why you want to be near a Pokemon location where Poke Critters appear. That is all technical assistance, and it was all really great information, because if you put your cupcake truck or your ice cream truck where Pokemon appeared, you were getting a lot of business, because kids were standing there with their parents out in the park all day collecting these little critters on their smartphones. So if you just moved your truck a couple hundred yards down to where they appear, you pretty much had a monopoly going, and that was a very insightful technical assistance class taught by our mission lenders. They were taught by our microlenders and our community advantage lenders. So technical assistance can be everything from social media, web page building, accounting, how to make a balance sheet, how to write a business plan to get the microloan. So it is a soups to nut, not to overlook the fact that in some cases they're teaching remedial business hot dog language. Because in this town, if you say a hot dog with means mustard, onion, and chili. So you got to learn your hot dog language, and again, our microlenders will teach that as well. So they teach just about everything that you're going to need to open up your business or supplement what you already know about your business. So somebody asked, how do you become a lender? So the application process. So let's take a look at it really quickly on being a microlender and getting part of the SBA micro team here in Office of Economic Opportunity. Number one, you need to be a nonprofit. Number two, you need to have at least 1 year experience in direct lending and loan servicing, specifically microlending, which means loans of $50,000 and less. Now, the one question that hasn't been asked yet is microlending cannot be used to buy real property, real estate. Can't do that with a microloan. You can do that with our Community Advantage loan, which is a 7A hybrid. You can also do it with a 7A loan, standard, or a 504 loan, but you cannot do it with a microloan. So, big important distinction there, and I'll put that out as a quick question. Let's see. You need to have at least 1 year experience providing that technical assistance. So we want to know that you're able to educate your borrowers. Usually you have somebody specialized in that. So you'll have one person that specializes in loan management, one in loan origination, and one in technical assistance. So we're looking for 3 people at a minimum to get into micro lending. So they need to, like here, your qualification, your personnel has to have relevant experience in both technical assistance and in lending. And you also have to show that you have financial strength and stability as a nonprofit. So I will just straight up say we are not your day one micro lender program. We usually work with a more seasoned and mature micro lending organization and mission lenders. Question that just came in, it says, is there microloan money available right now for lenders? Yes. Yes, there is. Even though we're under a continual resolution, we do have a small amount of money being made available. And pretty much after this weekend and budgets get to work out the rest of our money, we feel very optimistic will be released soon. So yes, we have money to get out on the street. So send in your request. If you're a microlender now, get your analyst, contact your microloan analyst now and send in your request for your loan. We right now can lend out up to $350,000 out to microlenders. After April, we'll be able to lend, like our requirements show, up to $2.5 million. So yes, we have money in smaller tranches right now at $350,000 available on a first-come, first-served basis per state. Until April, and then April we're able to open up our bank and lend in full force. So money's available, so contact your analyst or send in your application to become a micro lender. So what is some of the requirements? Well, if you want to become a micro lender, you can contact your local SBA office in your state, found at sba.gov. Or you can contact us, and we're going to send you a zip file that's going to have an Excel cover sheet, which is going to pretty much detail everything you need. Some government forms like 1081 you need to fill out, a lending history chart, your cost of lending, any contracts you might have, a bunch of disclosures about your lobbying activities, i.e. you can't be a lobbyist and a microlender. If you've ever been debarred from the federal government, that would be bad. You can't do it. And that your board of directors knows that you want to get into business with the SBA. And, of course, the copy of our SOP, which, again, makes great weekend reading. And a security agreement, which is an example of one you'll sign when we send you your SBA loan that will, in turn, allow you to make microloans. A couple questions that came in. Does the 1 year experience requirement apply to the organization? Yes, and its staff. So if the organization's been around for 20 years, but they just brought in new staff members that have no microloan experience, that could be a problem. So if it's a new organization, but the key staff has been around in microlending for 20 years, that's good, but we want to see that the organization itself has been making microlending. So it's a combination. The answer is both. The organization and the staff need to have that minimum required experience. Why does the SBA use an intermediary? Why not straight lend out to a small business? owner? You know, that's an excellent question, and I'll tell you why. Because we're sitting here in Washington, D.C., and how you do business in Alaska is completely different than what you do in Washington, D.C. You know, again, ice cream sells really well here in Washington all the time. Not as big seller in Alaska. So we don't want to think we know what's right for the entire United States, and our mission lenders are embedded within the communities and knows what works and what is in demand and what is needed with that community and can provide the education relevant to that part of the United States. So that is why we like to use an intermediary that is part of the community. And if you look up microlending, it's one of the successes is having that lender right there just down the block from you. They can go down and ask a question. Although we're fairly available in the world of technology today here in Washington to help people, again, the relevant experience is usually best on a local level. So we use those lenders because, again, they hand-in-hand provide that education and very often walk right into the very business that you've opened to help you out and say, you know, it might be better if you put the display in the window this way instead of that way so that you get more foot traffic. I could never do that from doing it virtually. So that's one of the reasons we do it that way. So let's see here. So let's see here, okay, we're going to slide forward here. So again, if you get this zip file, you can get it from your local SBA office. It's part of the tools that was mentioned earlier in the exhibit hall in our virtual conference, which is going to be your best way today to get all this information. So you again can go to there, you can contact your local SBA office and have all these things made available and delivered to you. And again, in the application process, I mentioned an Excel cover sheet, and this is a snapshot of what it looks like, and it's just 12 items that you need to go down. Some of the items are in depth, like your financials, your mission statements and articles of incorporation and bylaws, etc. But it's a very encompassing list, and you just submit everything in this order, and then you'll submit it to your local SBA office. So a couple rules of thumbs. For your application, read the SOP first. Make sure we are a good fit for your nonprofit. So take a look at that, read it over. Again, nothing better on the weekend to do than read the SOP. It's great fun. And give a clear description in your TA activities. Just don't say, well, I teach business classes. We want to know how robust it is and the number of subjects you cover. Follow the directions, follow the cover sheets, and only deliver a complete application. Partial applications will just be returned to you or never forwarded from the local field office. And make sure you include all of your lending and TA history with the templates we provide, because we want to be able to graph them out. So again, right here, as promised, here's my point of contact, james.webb@sba.gov. And that's my office phone. Again, the email is james.webb with 2 B's. I go by Chris, but you can call me anything you want but Dad, because that costs me money. So otherwise, feel free to reach out, contact me, ask some questions. We'll be glad to help you. Again, as a reminder, the PowerPoint slides are not available right after this. You would have to reach out to me or to Dan, and I can send those to you at a later date. Now, at this point, I would like to go ahead and open up, we've already had some questions, but I'd like to open up the chat box for some more questions. So if you would like, please feel free to chat away, as they say, and ask some questions. We've had some great questions so far today, so let's keep them coming. Here we go. Is there going to be an SBA conference this year? That's a great question. I know how much fun it was in Chicago this year. We generally do our in-person conferences every other year, so we will not be doing an in-person conference this year, but we will continue to do a series of webinars and or other virtual things such as this that we have been doing today with our virtual first ever SBA conference. Are microloans allowed for medical marijuana? No, can't do that. Federal government's not in that business, sorry. That's under some of our rules that you'll get if you become a microlender or you go to apply. What are the reporting requirements for TA grants? We like to know your activity that you're doing. We usually like to collect hours and what classes that you are providing for TA and reporting. Let's see, are there plans to increase the amount of TA available for pre-lending? Well, you know, the 75-25 rule that many of you are aware of that are microlenders wasn't our plan. It's in the law. And if you've attended any of my other webinars, you can take a look at your Schoolhouse Rock and learn how a bill works, because it's sitting on Capitol Hill right now in committee, needing your voice to your congressman and senator, and they are looking to change it dramatically. In some cases, they want to eliminate it and just have me just say, here's a TA grant, use it how you see fit. So I can't recommend you enough to go ahead and Schoolhouse Rock, make sure you know how to do it, and send a letter and or a phone call or all the above to your congressman and senator and ask them about the Microlending Act and that there's some changes there. So it's sitting up there on Capitol Hill, but it's just a bill. So with your help, you can turn it into a law. That is a great question. Are there any other federal grants available for small business owners? Yes, there are a lot of them. You need to search at, I think, grants.gov. I know Department of Labor, for example, has a lot of grants for entrepreneurship training. Specifically what they are, I don't know. And we're going to be coming to the end here of our presentation, so if you have any more questions, if any of you are going to jump out early and join in on one of the others, feel free to jump over. I know Matt Stevens, my associate in OED, is doing a presentation. You can go over and ask him questions. You can ask him questions like, why are caterpillars fuzzy? Just to give them a hard time, because, you know, this is a virtual conference, and that happens at a normal conference, because we like to have fun, so this will be as active as you want to make it. So feel free to reach out to all of our conference rooms here today and join in and ask questions. So again, you can ask just about any question you want. If we can't get you the answer, you know my web email address here, james.webb@sba.gov. We'll be glad to help you as it relates not only to the Office of Economic Opportunity, but to the Office of Capital Access, which does 7A, 504 loans, and our own hybrid 7A loan, Community Advantage, and microlending. Thank you all for your time today and your great questions, and enjoy the rest of our virtual webinar. Thank you, guys, and have a great day.